people do to you is not personal. A seduction is like a story that you're telling. The whole game, besides getting the other person to think about you when you're not there, is to get them emotional about you. The sense of no, the sense that this is prohibited, stirs the desire. The child is seduced by the parent. Stories are very seducing to us. We don't know where they're taking us. We don't know what the next chapter is. Being vulnerable is actually a positive trait. The art of seduction, with the idea that it was an art invented by women. We're emotional animals. We're not rational creatures, despite what we might think. So in the moment, you're always going to be emotionally involved. You're going to be upset, but also you want to show the other person that they're wrong about the insecurity they created, which is a seduction technique. So in the moment, as you say, you're feeling that, and there's no way you're going to get over it. It's going to embroil you in a thought process that's going to make you even more insecure. What you need to do is the next day, you need to look back at what happened and think about it and analyze it when they're not in your presence and go, what really went on? So that would be a tactic I would really, really emphasize. On like a first date particularly, mentally review what they did and what they said and think about whether it seemed like it was genuine or natural, or if there might have been some kind of manipulative game going on, and kind of analyze it a little bit, because it's hard to do that in the moment. It's easy for me to say that because I've been doing this for years. It's why I write books. I understand that having a distance when a parent says a comment that's kind of biting or cruel, it's very hard to like the next day to think about that and see. But in general, I try to promote this philosophy that what people do to you is not personal. Now, people have a very hard time with that, going, well, what do you mean it's not personal, Robert? Well, what I mean by that is when somebody says something malicious or cruel or bitchy, they're not really aiming it at you. They're having problems from their own past. They're aiming it at their parent. They're aiming it at a sibling. They're aiming it at a previous boyfriend or girlfriend. They're aiming it at a colleague at work that did something to them. It really isn't personal about you in particular. It's about them and their problems. So if you take the angle that I'm not going to get emotionally involved with this because it really has nothing to do with me, that is an incredibly liberating thing to develop. I'm not saying it's easy, but that should be like the end game of a lot of our kind of self-help. A seduction is like a story that you're telling. What interests us about but there's a part of them in the back of their minds that know that they are kind of creating this hot and cold game. They're creating a push and pull. So it's never completely natural or unconscious. There's an element where they kind of know that this is a very effective thing to use on the other person. A woman is going to be suspicious of a man because she will think that he's more powerful, he's more male, he's more masculine, he's more aggressive than I am, right? So she's a little bit afraid. Women can be a little bit afraid of men, and rightfully so. So a very nefarious tactic on the male side is to kind of make it feel like the woman is the one in power. The woman is the one who's in control, right? I'm under her clause. She's the one that's operating this. I'm actually kind of weak. I'm actually kind of vulnerable. Well, that makes it, that takes all the trust element and goes, whoa, yeah, I feel fine in this person. To feel like you're the one controlling the man, that he's like weak and he's the more emotional one, that he needs you more than you need him, is going to make all your suspicions, disappear. But it has to happen at the right moment. If you want to move people, if you want them to follow your ideas, if you want them to be more aligned with your politics or your ideas, you have to be subtle. You have to learn psychology. You have to learn certain aspects of how to almost move people without them realizing in certain directions, which is like the art of seduction. And if you're not interested in that, if you're just going to tell people what you think and what you're going to do, that means you're not interested in practical action. You're not interested in results. You're just interested in venting your own frustrations or your own anger. So learning the subtle little dynamics of power is extremely essential because we're a social animal. It doesn't mean that you're going to get dirty, that you're going to suddenly go out there and manipulate the hell out of people. Most of the 48 laws of power is about defense, but how to defend yourself from the sharks about there, how to defend yourself from making classic mistakes, like outshining the master, like talking too much, like arguing with people instead of demonstrating your ideas, on and on and on. It's not an ugly thing. It actually makes you a better social individual. So that's how I like to frame it. So power definitely is connected in some way to that inner sense of what you were meant to do. And you feel it with the ease and the connection that comes from it, right? So at the moment a taboo enters the human brain, like you're not supposed to sleep with this woman, the desire arises inside of you to actually sleep with that woman. The sense of no, the sense that this is prohibited, stirs the desire, stirs the contrary impulses in humans. And we can be perverse creatures, right? So if you've ever tried to suppress a thought, you realize that it keeps coming up. It keeps coming up. You can't suppress it. Don't think of an elephant, Andrews. Whatever you do, don't think of an elephant. You're thinking of it because you can't help it, right? The idea that you're not supposed to desire this person stirs that actual desire. So I believe the sense of something being taboo and transgressive is the ultimate kind of origin of our desire for seduction. But seduction involves vulnerability. It involves somebody gets inside, somebody gets under our skin, right? And to do that, we have to let them in. So the person being seduced is in some ways, to a degree, complicit. Because if you just put up a wall and you said, no, I'm not going to be seduced, nothing will happen. But you have a vulnerability. You're letting that person into your psyche, into your inner space. The paradigm for that is early childhood. The child is seduced by the parent. You're in an extremely vulnerable position, right? Your life depends on them. And they're seducing you with their energy. You're letting them in, right? And that kind of creates a pattern for the rest of your life. And so, for instance, the feeling of being carried by your father and just being taken around physically is a form of seduction because you don't know what he's going to do to you. You're very excited. You want that surprise, right? And to me, it's related to the seduction of a story. Stories are very seducing to us. We don't know where they're taking us. We don't know what the next chapter is, what's going to happen to this character or not. The surprise lowers our resistance and opens our mind up to what's going to happen next. Is a form of seduction. Fairy tales, the stories you were reading as a child, your interactions with your parents, they're deeply, deeply ingrained in you. You cannot be seduced unless you are vulnerable, right? And so I like to switch it around and get it out of the negative connotations. Being vulnerable is actually a positive trait. I think a lot of people now in the world today, because things are so harsh and invasive, that people have become too invulnerable. They don't want to let anything in, right? And this now infects their relationships with other people. They don't want to be influenced. They want to be strong inside of themselves. They're afraid of